On Second Shot, we cover 2 new stories every week to find out what kind of wisdom the world is dishing out today. And at the heart of every one of these stories are people, just like you and me, who've had to overcome incredible odds, to face the greatest challenges, to struggle and fight back. But now, we're changing it up. In these episodes, we're skipping the headlines and going straight to the people that inspire us to grow, to be bold, seek change, and act courageously when the rest of the world may not. A second look, a second chance, a second shot. This is Second Shot Sit-Downs with your host, Jenny Anchondo.
We are starting the new year with a Second Shot Sit-Down that I am really excited about. This one actually came to fruition pretty quickly. I heard about this mother-daughter duo, Donna Fisher, who is just like a total rock star mom, business owner, kept everything going during the pandemic, and also, more importantly, has been such an example for her daughter and for the rest of us. Her daughter, Skylar, woke up one day with a tingling in her legs, and I'm going to let her explain more about the story, but ultimately ended up in a wheelchair for quite some time. In the midst of this, though, there's such a story of resilience and strength, both inner and outer strength, that I have found to be so remarkable and so inspiring. In fact, I had a long conversation with Donna on the phone, and as she was telling me about this, I'm like, I gotta hit record. Like, I just need to get to you and hit record so that we can share this story with everybody else. So welcome, Donna and Skylar. Hello, ladies.
Hey there. I wish you would have hit record so I don't have to say it again.
I know. I was thinking that too. I literally almost said, well, I wonder if I can just sit here in my car and say, okay, do you have 30 minutes? But then we wanted to bring Skylar into the conversation too. So let's kind of, let's rewind, Donna, to the day when your daughter woke up and said, hey, Mom, I'm feeling like this tingling sensation in my legs. What's going on?
It was in March of 2019, and she just said, my legs feel weird, and I'm like, they're probably sore from volleyball or something. Get up and go to school like every mom, like, oh my gosh, another day, where I'm going to get called from the nurse. So, it's like, okay, well, let's take an Advil or, I just was like, all right. She goes, no, they are tingling. So I was like, tingling, so I kind of think about it through the morning, and, we make it to school. And then the nurse calls and says, Skylar's legs are really hurting. I was like, they're hurting. First they're hurting, then they're tingling. And I was like, well, this is interesting, So I just kind of start really processing what's going on.
And ultimately, and Skylar, I'll let you explain so you must have gone to the nurse and said, okay, this is like, I can't get through. What grade were you in at the time?
This was like 3 years ago, so I was in middle school.
So you're in middle school, 14 years old, right? And so you are like, okay, what's going on? What did you think that it was?
I mean, I just thought I had a swim meet like a couple days before. I thought maybe I overdid it there, but I wasn't really sure.
And then what developed? Was it like, okay, then one day you woke up and were like, I can't even use my legs, or what happened from there?
Yeah, then my legs started like really hurting and like really tingling, and then we had to like massage them and stuff to get them to stop hurting. And then eventually I just couldn't like bear weight anymore.
Wow. And that was over the course of how many days?
Maybe like 4 or 5.
So like a week later, did you were you just in bed or what happened?
Yeah, I had went to bed the night before, and one of my legs had like kind of stopped working. And then I woke up and like both of them were really working.
Donna, did you ever? I mean, we talked about this on the phone. It sounds like you have some ideas about what it might have been, but you don't really even know now. What, 2-3 years later?
Right. We didn't know then, and we still don't know now. We know a lot of what it's not. That's what happens with these type of things with neurology, and some interesting things is you go through a battery of tests, and we've been to the Mayo Clinic emergency rooms, and they can tell you what it's not, but they can't really tell you exactly what it is. The body is unique, and the brain, sometimes it just shuts down. And we've seen this. Being a trainer and a therapist, I have clients that are older, and they'll tell me sometimes stories about their life, and I get it now. Like, okay, I can see where you can tell me that when you were younger, this stuff happens, and it's real, and it's challenging. Especially when you're sitting there. And I carried her around on my back back and forth to the hospital until we got a walker, and then we had crutches, and then we had a wheelchair. And it was just kind of like, what is happening?
Right. Well, and so some people are watching the TV version, some people will be seeing the audio version. You're a very petite, athletic woman.
Right, I'm 4'11", and I weigh, 115, and my daughter's 5'5", weighs 130. But I mean, sometimes, and she couldn't squeeze me with her legs. So a couple times when we were leaving the hospital, I mean, I would be like, try to bring your legs, right. So I'm trying, and we would literally, we would laugh though a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, just trying to figure out what it is.
I mean, it was almost comical at some point, where it was like, if you don't laugh, we would fall apart. There was a lot of crying too.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, it's sort of like the secondary frustration to being in a situation that's physically limiting is the not knowing. And that's got to be just like so frustrating, because we expect that we go to a doctor's office, we get a test, we get a diagnosis and an action plan, but that's never really happened, has it?
Well, like in orthopedic, that's what happens. You break a bone, you get an x-ray, they tell them your leg's broken, you put a cast, they fix the bone. But that doesn't always happen in neurology and some other fields.
So I want you both have incredibly interesting stories after that, and it's almost like when you hear about this, the least interesting part about them is that thing that happened to your legs, right. Because you've both gone on to flourish in your own ways. So Donna, what happened to you we know that your background is as a trainer, we know that you teach fitness classes and stuff. Talk about what your career was, prior to this.
So my career's always been fitness. So I teach aerobics at the Coupa Fitness Center, and I've been a Pilates teacher. I was an occupational therapist, and I've always just loved movement. When she couldn't move, I kind of stopped moving because I felt so guilty. I couldn't take a run because she couldn't run. The thought of hiking or biking was unbearable. So I didn't do much for that first year, except I was pretty angry, and then it was like, okay, so it doesn't matter why, it just mattered what we're gonna do about it. And so I just switched gears. I was like, okay, that's it. No more doctors. We're going to figure out what we can do. You still have arms, you still have this amazing, beautiful face and heart and head. So let's get going. I mean, that's what I would tell somebody if they came to me as a client. Like, your legs don't work, but your arms work. So I felt like if I could do that for other people, I should be able to do that for myself. And so that's when the transformation happened.
And so you started encouraging her, and it was like a lifetime of fitness, a career of fitness. Yeah. And I can totally see where you would go to where you would go to that place.
How can I go take a run when she can't even move? I just couldn't do it.
What was your perspective on that, Skylar? Did you know that she was feeling like that?
I knew it was kind of hard for us to move on because we were so used to going to Colorado in the summer and hiking and all this stuff. So
it was such a big part of your family, was being outdoorsy and being athletic, and so you guys created an action plan. You started getting, it sounds like, figuring out what can we do in a wheelchair, and
there's a lot.
Yeah. So what did you try once you changed your mindset on that?
Everything.
A lot.
Okay, take me through it, Skylar.
We tried wheelchair basketball, which was not my thing, but that was cool. I still do the skate park. It's called WCMX, where you go to the skate park and you get in a wheelchair and you put this huge helmet on and these knee pads, these elbow pads. You go down ramps and go in the bowl and all kinds of crazy things you probably shouldn't be doing, but you're doing anyway. And then I've still been swimming, which is good because you still have your arms, so you can still swim. And then I did a lot of other things. Yeah.
And I saw a video of you competing in Miss Dallas. You're all over the internet. I mean, so talk about what that was like, getting involved in Miss Dallas and how it went and what you did for your talent and everything.
So I've been competing in pageants for a while before the wheelchair, and so then when I kind of was in the wheelchair, I was like, well, I guess I can still do it. I mean, just in a different way. I've never had really a talent to present on stage. So I brought ramps that Rise Adaptive Sports let me borrow, and I brought them all the way to Houston to compete for Miss Texas. And I did this routine with the ramps, and I jumped off the stage, and that was my first time ever doing talent, and I won.
Unbelievable.
Well, first of all, what did you say when I said, I think you should use your
And I was
wheelchair
like,
for talent?
no, I'm not going to do talent. And then I was like, okay, I guess that's kind of a good idea because no one else is going to do it. They're all standing up there singing.
And you won the talent portion.
Yeah, first place.
Wow. Wow. What did you think when they announced it was you?
Oh, I guess my mom was right.
We're gonna just record that and put it on repeat for like all moms everywhere.
Yeah, that'd be good.
For all things. Oh my gosh. Well, so you went and did it. How did it feel going from being, a walking participant in a pageant to being in the wheelchair and making that transition and showing up in that space again, in a different capacity?
It was definitely different because you're like the only one there that's like in a wheelchair, has a disability. But it's definitely good to like show other people that no matter what happens, that you can still do it.
Well, I mean, yeah.
And her spokesmodel was it was just amazing. She talked about everything she'd been through, and that's what that's all about. To me, that's what pageantry is about.
Absolutely.
It's about sharing your story, and that gave her a stage, and that was amazing. I was like, oh, I see her story being written, and the picture started becoming very clear to me. Oh, okay, it's becoming really beautiful, and it's taking shape, right, in color, and it's like,
It's an interesting age. At that age, I think, by the time you're an adult, everyone's got like a rich story and things that have happened to them and stuff, and hardships and stuff. At your age, by the grace of God, most people don't. They've got kind of just had a childhood and lived their life, and people have had, maybe some little hardships here and there. I can imagine that was what you went through was not as relatable though to people your age. Was that hard to have gone through something so intense? When you hear people just talking about, I don't know, other little things like that might seem mundane in comparison to what you were dealing with?
It was definitely hard, but I guess it's just all part of it. It was like meant to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we don't really understand. We don't even understand. So definitely hard. She doesn't, her friends are busy doing able-bodied things, running around.
Yeah.
So it's definitely changed the friend circle, and they just don't get it. But she's got a new circle.
Yeah.
Well, talk about your new circle. It was, I think what struck me so much in the moment when I was really like, I've got to just record on this. I need to record this right now, was the way that your mom spoke about like what a gift it was that you had this new circle of people, and that your eyes had been opened up to this whole new community. So I would love to hear from both of you on that, just what that was like. Maybe we'll start with you, Mom, just what it was like to see her sort of like experiencing these new things and then making bonds.
It's kind of an amazing experience. Like, she wasn't really one of those kids that always had a group of people around her. I have a son who's, kind of out there, and he's always like the center of attention, but she's just more of an observer, So for her to really connect with someone, it's pretty special. So when I would go out there with her, and it would be like, Skylar, and it was just like, okay. And you can tell when your kids are happy, right? Their face lights up, their voice changes, and then after, she goes, Mom, thanks, that was so fun. Wasn't it fun? And I was like, and then I would say to her, like, oh, that's not really my idea of fun. But what I did is I enjoyed watching you have fun. Like, it was amazing. And so then it just started blossoming. Honestly, it was just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. It was just like, and then we're traveling, and she's racing, and she's part of this, and she's part of that, and she's just wanting to try anything. I couldn't even get her to try anything before, And even my son was like, oh my gosh, Skylar would have never done any of these things. I think this paralysis thing is really a true blessing, and this is a 13-year-old boy, and we started enjoying doing the things together. He goes with us and travels, and, my husband, he's the one that transfers 3 or 4 wheelchairs back and forth and in the truck and out of the truck. It's a lot of work. We've traveled with 3 adaptive bikes before, in and out of the airport, and in the car and out of the car, and it's quite an experience of patience.
I just love that you got to see the joy back in your daughter's face. I can imagine that was amazing.
Amazing.
Well, how was it for you? Do you think that you're a different person now compared to before?
Yeah, it's good to have my new group of friends. I've met a lot of friends through like the adaptive sports, and there's like a really great community through them.
Can you explain, because it just dawned on me, it's like, oh, her friends don't understand. Well, let's help people to understand, right? Like there's probably a lot of people who are, maybe they don't know anybody who uses a wheelchair, or maybe only somebody who used one later in life. So what is adaptive sports? What does that mean?
So it's basically there's any sport that you can think of, and then you just adapt it to the way that you can compete in it or play it, or yeah.
What's your main go-to thing right now?
I'm doing para-triathlon, so it's swim, back, and run, just like a normal triathlon. So you swim just however you swim. I mean, there's people without arms, people with no legs, people with one arm and one leg, or people blind, people deaf. It's crazy, a lot of different things. And then you do cycling, so I have a hand cycle that I use, and then racing chair. The running is a racing chair, and then you use that. It's like a wheelchair.
It's amazing.
And before this, your main sport was swimming, right?
So when she swims, she can't kick in the water. She just swims
Right.
with her arms.
Right.
But then she's
Oh, that's the hard part, the arm. Oh my
Right.
gosh. Yeah,
I can't even
you are
swim
very
across the
athletic.
pool.
Yeah, no, me neither. I need a lifeguard.
She uses an arm bike, and I mean, just imagine riding
Oh.
with just your arms and not your legs. And it's not just her; it's everyone. And let me just tell you, these kids are working so hard. When I'm out there, it's just like, I mean, my son's complaining because I got the milk wrong, and these kids are just killing it on adaptive surfing and adaptive. Oh, it's unbelievable. So whatever disability you have, they will adapt it to you. I mean, she's part of Rise here in Dallas, an amazing organization, and they do camp all summer, and you can go to the lake almost every single day and do adaptive water skiing. And she goes out almost every single day and tries something different. She did something with your knees this year. Knee boarding.
Wake surfing. It's like behind a boat, and the boat creates like this wake, and then
I've seen that.
Crazy.
then you can eventually drop the rope, and you kind of just surf behind it, but you're still following the boat.
So that's like the thing that people whose legs are fully functioning still really struggle with, by the way.
Right.
Right? So but you're out there
And you
doing
sit
it. Yeah.
in this little seat thing, and you do it sitting down. So, yeah.
Wow. What is Rise? Can you explain what Rise is? I understand you're going to be a spokesperson for them.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like a little practice session. You're doing great.
Rise is an adaptive sports organization in Dallas. They have just about any sport you can think of. The main thing is the water sports in the summer. That's just really amazing. You can go out like every day of the week, and they have a bunch of volunteers to help, and you can wake surf, you can do parasailing, you can swim in the lake, you can do water skiing, just about anything.
They work so hard.
Okay, so you had the year of sort of just like appointments and trying to figure out what's going on, what caused this. Still don't really know. And then your mom said, okay, we're going to get you out there and start doing things. What did you think about that? Were you like, okay, wait, we need to fix this? Or were you like, okay, sure, let's go try these adaptive sports? Or what did you think?
Yeah, so a couple years before like this whole situation happened, I went and watched one of my friends that I had met compete at the WCMX like world championship thing, and so we met up with them again because we hadn't really talked to them since then, and she kind of got me started with Rise and helped me with that.
I started reaching out to like the community, so like every mom, as you know, needs help, you know, and so that's where it really changed for me. It was kind of like, okay, I can't do this by myself, and so it's like, hang on a second. I mean, God's already written the story way before now. There's these things in place that already happened, and I went back and was like, oh my goodness, this woman, this, and so I just started making calls, and it was like, and then this, you know, support and go over here and go over that. I was like, oh, okay, you know, and then 2 years later, it's just like, that's okay, I got it.
And 2 years later, you have like a fully. It sounds like you have a. Would it be accurate to say you have a more robust community now than you had before this happened?
Oh, absolutely, and not just robust, but something that's purposeful and meaningful, and you know, something we care about with our heart and soul, and I mean something that she's passionate about.
And Donna, for you, after it was like you told her, okay, you're going to start doing these sports, and then you kind of got back into
Right.
fitness, which you had just given up.
Right. So I was kind of like, well, you can't say it and not do it. And I had neglected my son. You know, I mean, you try not to do it, but that's what happens. And he's pretty athletic, and so I tried to find something that me and him could do together. And so I started doing these little obstacle races, and me and him would go together, and he really liked it, and it was really fun, and really it was just something fun to do. I'd done these things before in the past, but you know, being older and I just tried to keep myself safe. And
How old are you? Do you care, or do you mind saying?
50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
So I turned 50 this year.
Yay!
Yeah. So me and him would do races together, and we just had a lot of fun. And for some reason this year, I when I turned 50, I was like, well, maybe I probably need to slow down from the obstacle racing. It's a little dangerous. I don't want to hurt myself. And then I had my best year yet.
And so then you guys, the original friend that connected us and told me about it, because they're like, you got to hear about this local woman, Donna. She's doing these Spartan races. Come to find out, there's a whole huge backstory, obviously, which to me is like really the second shot that both of you have had. But so you were like, I don't want to do this anymore. You keep having things happen because you don't want to do them,
I know.
and then you just have they have to happen. Like she didn't want to open a Pilates studio, but
I think what
she had
happens
to.
when you surrender, when you just surrender, is like, I really don't want to do this, but I'm going to be open to, it's not really about what I want, but maybe it's about what I need, or maybe somebody else needs me to do it. And I feel like that's where you have the most growth. And if I did everything I wanted to, I would be half the person I am today. And that's the truth.
That's true.
I mean, I wouldn't
want to
have
do this interview.
Right, I didn't. I mean, I really didn't. And I have this amazing studio, and I get to help tons of other teachers, and I have a wonderful family. So
tell me this. You did the race, and then you got like a notification that you had done really well and qualified for another race. And this was all after you were like not even wanting to race to begin with. So
Okay,
explain how you ended up like around the world doing these races.
Well, I don't really know how the whole system works because I just did it as like fun. So I didn't pay attention to how the rankings work. So I guess I raced well enough at multiple races that I qualified for the World Championship qualifier. And so when I got the email, I thought it was like a participation trophy, like they sent it to everybody. So I called the headquarters and was like, what is this? I've been racing for 5 years, and I didn't even know you had something like this. And he was like, yes, you need to go to Lake Tahoe and you do this race. And if you get in the top 10, you get to go to the World Championship, and it's Abu Dhabi. And I was kind of like, what?
Abu Dhabi?
I mean, honestly, I was like, this is nuts. Okay, but in the meantime, my daughter's thinking she wants to try out for the Paralympics, and I'm literally giving her these speeches. You can do this, and I'm taking her all these places. I mean, we must have went to 10 different places last year to travel and get her times up, and I'm getting all these trainers. I'm doing all these things for her to inspire her to do these great things, and here I am like, I can't do that. And then I was like, why can't I? I mean, what's the difference? What?
Right.
Adaptive age. I mean, what? I run a studio every day. I have clients every single day, and I tell them every single day, and I truly believe it, that anything is possible. And I mean, I've trained people without hands or feet. I've trained people with injuries and everything. I've even blew out my whole knee and rehabbed pretty much myself with Pilates. So why can't I do this? What is stopping me?
And so you did it.
I did. I was terrified.
And you ended up.
Right?
I remember.
I kept saying to her, I don't think I can do this.
And what did you think? You're probably thinking, well, you keep telling me I can do this.
And I was like, I think you can do it. You got it. Yeah.
And so it was a Spartan race. What is that for people that aren't familiar?
So they have different levels. They have sprints, so it's like 3 miles, 20 obstacles, and the obstacles are like climbing up ropes, going over A-frames, going through water, things like that. Then the second distance is a 10K, and then they have a half marathon, and then the full marathon. And so the qualifying race happened to be a half marathon, and I'm not really a big runner at all. And so I had never done that distance before. I'd only done the short ones. And so the Tahoe race had elevation and was a half marathon, and I honestly was like...
It's like a half marathon uphill is what you mean.
Up a mountain.
Like up a mountain.
It was completely up a mountain.
I've only done one
At one
flat,
point, I had
and
to
never went back.
lean forward to make it up the mountain, and it took me over 4 hours. So I didn't even check to see if I qualified, because it was like, there's no way. I mean, yeah.
But a friend made
I was
you
crawling
check.
on hands and feet at one point. I was like, there's no way I'm going to Abu Dhabi. And even if I was to qualify, how am I going to get to Abu Dhabi?
So a friend made you check, and what did you find out?
She's like, let's go see if, we qualified. And I was like, there must have not been enough people in my age group. That's what I found.
And you did. You qualified for Abu Dhabi.
Yes. And so I joked around and said, to my staff and to my clients, I qualified for the World Championship, and I didn't even know what that meant. And I wasn't planning on going. And they were all like, oh yeah, you're going. And I was like, wait a minute, wait. And so Abu Dhabi, I thought Tahoe was hard. Try running some sand dunes. It was completely insane and absolutely amazing.
And describe what you did, what that was like there. So we know you did do well going straight uphill for 13 miles.
So it's basically uphill but in sand. So when you step in sand, you go down.
Gosh.
Just like snow. You would step in and go down and go down and down and down and down and down.
Oh,
and so it was countries from all over the world. It was amazing. So Canada, France, Italy was incredible athletes. Canada, husband-wife team won the whole thing. So it was being in that environment with those level of athletes, was highly motivating for me. Because, you sometimes you not really sure where you are in that chain of athletes, but I'm definitely average, if not below average.
But you did it. I mean, did
I
you
did
finish?
It. Yeah, I finished, yes. And I got 12th, and so I was pretty happy with that.
But she got 12th with food poisoning.
You had food poisoning.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. So
How did that?
It was, that's what happens when you travel. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And so when was this? When was the
So
Abu Dhabi race?
It was, I just got back, so it was 3 weeks ago.
What do you do when you come back from something like that, where you've been, I'm guessing you were training for that. How did you train for that? And then what do you do when you get back?
I did train. I mean, I did not want to let anyone down. I felt like everyone, my family believed in me, and every single time I felt like I couldn't take another step, I would think about coming back and people asking me questions. And I thought about this time that we were doing a race and I was in the water and I was doing one leg of the race to help get her going, and I thought I was going to drown. And I was just like, I don't want her to see me give up. You know what I mean? So I kept going, but I literally was like looking at the boat. I have to get in that boat. I can't finish this race. And I remember thinking to myself, all these times I think I can't finish, and just finish. It doesn't matter, Donna, it doesn't matter. Just finish the race. And that's the same with everything in our life. Everything in our life, right? Finish the life, finish this year, finish this day, finish this journey.
Yeah.
It's just, wow. I mean, when I got back, I was gone for 9 days. I mean, it changed me as a person, as a mother, as an athlete, as a trainer. I mean, my clients were inspired. I mean, we're excited about the new year, and it's amazing what the body can do. I'll tell you that, and the mental capacity we have to push ourselves to such limits.
Oh, I totally agree. And I think there's a misconception that just because somebody is a trainer or has education in that realm, that fitness is then somehow easy for them.
Yeah, it's not. No, it's not. I mean, it was really hard. It was just really hard for me in general because it was hot, It was like 90 degrees and there's no wind, it's all sand. I mean, it was hard for everyone.
How long did that take? How many hours was that one?
That took me 3.5 hours.
Oh wow, that's pretty. That to me, that sounds fast.
Yeah, it wasn't fast. It was the fast people finished it in like 2.5 hours. So that tells you.
Wow, I mean, it really is impressive though, and I think that just like that message, and when I think about starting the new year and like what sort of messaging we want to do, I feel like for even people who haven't been through a journey like you have been, just like our whole country has been through just kind of like this trudging.
That's how I felt.
Couple
we need
years.
something.
Yeah.
We all do. I mean, it could be a Spartan, it could be anything. It could be this, it could be we just been through, I feel like we've all been through paralysis. I feel like we're all paralyzed with fear and worry and everything. I feel like we have lived her story in the last 2 years in our country, and it is paralyzing.
Yeah, and people are sort of stuck in like that rut. So
Yes.
when I heard your story, I thought this is so
Yes.
perfectly aligned to be able to talk to people about what to do moving forward.
I
And
was in
it's
a
like-
rut, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's right. And you got out. Do you feel like you're out of the rut now? Like, are you going to do more Spartans, or are you like, okay, cool, checked that off?
No,
I can
yeah,
continue.
I remember doing a race and I was so out of shape that I did the AT&T Stadium, and it was, I remember thinking to myself, who am I? What has happened to me? You know what I mean? I was so out of shape and I was so demoralized, but I still did the race because that's what I was doing with my son, to be a good mom. And I thought, well, this just happens to you when you get older, right? You just don't care anymore. And I was like, no, this is just what happens when you let yourself go and you've let yourself down. And so now I'm looking forward to a season of, I've learned so much about racing, and this may be my best season yet. So 12th, oh, I'm not going to settle for 12th.
Yes! Oh my gosh. Skylar, what does it feel like for you to see your mom doing this sort of like in your honor, like practicing what she preaches?
I thought it was really cool how she was able to go to like Abu Dhabi, and like even though it was weird how we'd like text in the middle of the night because like it's a completely different time zone and stuff. It was really good to see her compete.
Yeah, it's wow. The whole family is like quite athletic and just getting out there. So what's next for you?
I have the Houston Half Marathon this month, so I'm looking forward to that, and then a couple more races this year.
And that'll be a running race, so you do it in the chair
in
with
the racing
your
chair.
Okay, in the racing chair. Got it. And then what about like after high school? You'll have another year after this, and then what?
Then I'm hoping to go to the University of Arizona.
And what will you do there? I heard a little bit about that. I used to live in Arizona, and I love it there.
I want to become a vet, and they have a really good veterinarian medicine program there, but they also have a huge adaptive sports program. So they have a hand cycling team, a track team, a swim team, so I can kind of do vet school, but also combine and still do all my sports.
Incredible. And when I showed up here, so I heard your story, and then I kind of half expected that you would be in a wheelchair now, but you were walking out. So explain sort of your physical progress. I know you guys still don't have like an official diagnosis or anything, but can you explain what that physical journey has been like?
Yeah, so I did a lot of neuro rehab that kind of got me walking, and my walking's still like a little weird and it takes a while. So for longer distances, like all day at school and stuff, I use my wheelchair, but for like shorter in and out places, I just walk.
How do the kids at school react?
I mean, we all make jokes about it. There was this other kid that got hurt one time and had a cane, and they used to call us grandma and grandpa. So we all kind of make jokes about it and make like cripple jokes and like things you shouldn't be saying. But I mean, you just have to have fun with it.
You have fun with it, and they're just kind of one with you and understand that you're going through it. Do you think that there's a time, or do you even desire a time? It seems like you've been so successful with this particular athletic track. Do you even desire a time or see a time where you're like, okay, I won't need my chair anymore?
I mean, we thought so, but we're still really not sure. I mean, the future's like unknown. So for the past 3 years, we thought things were going to change and it was go back to normal, but it hasn't. So for now, I'm just going to do this.
So it sounds like you're leaning into the life that's presented to you right now.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of just looking towards some other life that you don't know will exist.
Yeah.
That will just set you up for disappointment.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you have to say to people who feel like they are on a sort of like just, oh, well, when this changes, then I'll be happy?
It's not true. It's just not. I mean, you're only going to be happy in that current situation when you just, I did do that, for a long time. It was like, she's giving up everything, she's changing her whole life, and if I could just get her walking again, and I mean, if she walks again, great. And if she goes out of the wheelchair and comes back, great. But if she doesn't, it's great. But it does take a while to surrender that, for sure, and letting go of your grip. I mean, as a mom, you want to fix it, Well,
what is the biggest lesson you've learned as a mom through this whole journey?
I think trusting her too, because she would tell me some things and I would try to impose my will and my desires on her, and she would say, Mom, and I think at this age there's a little battle going on, and so trusting her and right now allowing her to start having her life is kind of what I learned.
Well, I am just so impressed by both of you. I'm totally inspired personally. I think a lot of people will love to hear your story. Donna, give a shout out to your studio so people want to come train with you.
Okay, this is called FBH Wellness, and so we do a lot here. We have muscle activation technique, we have a chiropractor, a massage, and my favorite thing is making the person, just when you come to us, it's not just one thing that makes someone better. I mean, it's just not, you can't just, do one thing and change your whole life. It's kind of like I tell my female clients, it's like your makeup bag. You don't just have one line of cosmetics, right? You kind of pick a bunch of different cosmetics. And then we have a lot of male clients here. About 60% of my clients are males, and most of them are golfers. And so we just have a really small, intimate group. We have high quality trainers here, and we really personal attention. I mean, it's just a place that I've always wanted to be able to give to someone, but I never knew how to create it. And so
Really beautiful. So I know people will be listening to this from all over the country, but if you happen to be in Dallas,
yeah,
great location.
We have athletes come in here all the time that are coming in to play sports. So,
well, I just can't wait to see what happens next for both of you. I think you're both incredible. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and I know you're going to help a lot of people. So thank you so much to both of you.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys, here's the deal. Second Shot Podcast is off to a good start in 2022. You know these episodes are out on CW33 TV every Thursday, 10 to 11 a.m. for the TV version if you want to see everybody in person, and then just a whole host of inspiring stories. If you're new to the podcast, they are all available on every single podcast platform, and you can find the whole list at secondshotpodcast.com and the TV versions at cw33.com. All right, everybody, wishing you a wonderful new year, and we'll chat with you soon. Bye-bye.